Good morning, everyone. My name's Laura, and welcome to Yoga and Recovery Chats with me and Kate from Anna. So we'll take a minute to introduce ourselves in just a moment, but just wanted to say hello and thank you for taking the time to be with us today. We're really excited about the conversation and the movement piece that we'll be getting into. But yeah, we'll just take a minute. It looks like we've got the flood of people who are going to arrive have arrived. So we'll go ahead and get started for the day. And so just wanted to say thank you for coming. And my name is Laura and I'm with Eat, Breathe, Thrive. So I'm one of their facilitators and I've been with them for about 5 years and running some of their programs, a 7-week program and the Yoga for Eating Disorder Recovery over the last couple of years, which has been a really wonderful experience and just really excited to see things expanding, that there's more ways to stay connected and to move and breathe and chat with each other. So Eat, Breathe, Thrive is a nonprofit organization and we aim to prevent and help support people who struggle with disordered eating, negative body image, and really helping to build an emotional resilience and a positive, embodied state with their being. So really excited to be here today with all of you. So I'll just take a moment to let Kate introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Kate. I'm a volunteer support group leader with ANID. I've been doing that for a couple of years. I mean, I've kind of lost count, but for quite a while now. So ANID is a nonprofit organization that provides this peer support group, our peer support leadership to help people struggling with eating disorders. So we have support groups that are led by people who have recovered themselves. We have a mentorship program. We also help with referrals. So the website has a lot of different information and resources. Also, I am the founder of a Facebook community called Athletes Against Diet Culture. So if anyone is interested in joining that, where we have a space to talk about movement, apart from a lot of the negative things that we see in the media with focus on weight loss or things like that.
Wonderful, thank you. Yeah, I hopped onto her page and it's really refreshing. We were talking in the beginning, it's really refreshing to see a place where you can talk about those kind of things without those pressures that you normally see, in culture around those types of things, and just really open, friendly, and really engaged groups. It was really wonderful. Well, thanks, Kate. So this today, as we're starting out, just wanting to take a moment to have a little bit of a check-in. I'd love to take a moment just to allow ourselves to ground and connect. So maybe taking a moment to sit to the edge of your seat. And our icebreaker or opening question this morning, oh, we got Lynette coming in. We're just gonna let her come in for just a sec before I start. There we go, hi Lynette. Okay. So we will, we're just getting started with just allowing ourselves to ground for just a moment here. And as we get ready to start our check-in question, so go ahead and take a moment to come to the edge of your seat and maybe ground the soles of the feet onto the floor. And then just taking a moment here just to release the shoulders down a little bit and close the eyes if you'd like to. And then take a nice big deep breath. Big inhale through the nose. And then exhale out through the mouth. Let's do that 2 more times. Nice big inhale as we arrive today in our space. Exhale out. And next breath in, big inhale. Beautiful. So taking a moment here, either with the eyes remaining closed, just a soft gaze, but just taking a moment to reflect on your week, this last week, and just allowing anything to come to mind that may have been a rose or a thorn in your week, just allowing ourselves to kind of make space for things that have shown up and allowing us to arrive fully in our space today. And so that way we can just allow ourselves to process, acknowledge, and allow that awareness to reside. So just take a moment thinking about any rose or thorn that may have come up for you today or this past week. Nice inhale. And then exhale, go ahead and come on back to the room. So just when it comes to logistics, I know that I didn't mention before, but in the recording, Kate and I will be the ones that are recorded in the video. It's only our videos that will be, your voices can be recorded. So if you choose to come off of mute and speak into the group, you can speak there. But just know that your faces or anything else won't come up in all of this. So feel free to share if you'd like. We'd love for you guys just to allow yourselves to make this space your own. The more you engage, the more we can actually have the conversation speaking to what it is that you're needing today and what's coming up for you versus kind of an agenda per se. This is more of a loose format. So really excited for you guys to just points of view, questions, and awarenesses that come up for you to just bring it up. So I'd love for you all to take a moment. You can have yourselves share it in the chat if you prefer. But if you wouldn't mind, we have a smaller group today. If you guys would like to take a moment to share your rose and thorn. Kate, do you want to share yours just to get the group started?
Sure. So let's say my rose from this week. So I had a really nice weekend with my husband. I got to go check out a new restaurant, and that was really nice. But at the same time, I'm really struggling with insomnia right now, which has not been fun.
Thank you. All right. I will go around and kind of, I'll let anyone who wants to speak to go ahead and unmute, so I'm not calling out names per se, or if you would like to enter in the chat instead, go ahead and do that. Okay. I'll go ahead and share mine for a moment. I'm getting ready for a big move. And so we had to sell our cars. So yesterday we sold our second car. So we were really excited. All of that is done. That's the big one. And I guess a way in a thorn is just we're having to say our final goodbyes this week. So that's kind of our in the heart space, feeling it there. So lots of good and kind of hard moments in the week. All right, I have a sunny weekend together, and then the thorn is they have a headache today. Yeah, space for that. Would anybody else like to share, Lynette? Oh, yeah, don't feel free to just come off mute so I'll forget. And
Hi, can you hear me?
yes.
Everyone, okay, hi. Do I share the rose first and then the thorn?
Sure.
Okay, so the rose is that I've been able to sleep. So I'm here with Kate. I've been able to have a really nice week of peacefulness. I think my backyard neighbors went away for the week, and so they're not throwing parties in the backyard. So it's been very quiet. I've been able to sleep and rest for the first time, I think, in my life. It's the first time that I fall asleep. I sleep through the night. I wake up refreshed, feeling happy. I get up from the bed and I just start my day. So this has been amazing. And the thorn is that I've been all week home resting and recuperating from a spinal procedure. So I'm missing out in the New York summer, which is like 3 months. So I can't wait to be able to go outside and enjoy the summer before the cold starts in September.
Oh, good. Well, hopefully you'll be on the mend soon. Thank you for sharing. All right, from the chat, we've got hosting some out of town family starting tonight, and thorn is I have to clean your breath. I feel that one. We've been doing lots of parties lately, and the cleanup is real. That struggle. Thank you. Anyone else want to share verbally?
Yeah, I will. my thorn has turned into a rose a bit somehow. I was how was it even put to me? I'm trying to still figure this out, but it was said to me in a way that there was part of me that wasn't living authentically. This was a comment, and I was taken aback. So it was my thorn at the time, and there was a big cry, and oh my gosh, and I have to restructure everything, my whole life. And actually, that insight and just the pondering in the not so nice, in the discomfort, has been really interesting, and it has feel like it's an opportunity to sort of bloom and change and open up, I suppose. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else want to share verbally before we go to the chat and we'll share what they wrote? All right. Looks like we have a trip with my mother to town with a lovely weekend we haven't had in a long time, and just enjoyed a beautiful day. Reliving old memories. Wonderful. Had to leave my job this past week to focus more intensely on recovery. Okay. All right. Thank you for sharing that, and just holding space as you move into that bigger journey, and just really honoring that you've taken that time for yourself. That's hard to press pause sometimes. So that's really, really beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Is there any other that I missed, Kate?
I don't think so. I think did anyone else want to share that didn't?
Awesome. All right, well, I think that leads us right to kind of, as we're coming into today, allowing us to kind of have an anchor statement, but knowing that, or anchor kind of thought or lead on this, where the conversation can start, but just knowing that it can go in any direction that it needs to. One of my favorite things when it comes to yoga is, and one of the most healing things that has been for me, is connecting with my breath. And it has been something that I just thought would be really interesting to have that conversation of just really looking at how exactly does the breath impact your yoga practice, if you have one, or just even being in your body if you don't. And then how does that also affect mental health? And so yeah, I'd love to, maybe Kate, I've been talking a lot, so I'll let you have a moment to maybe if there's something you want to share on this, and then I'll pop in.
Yeah, sure. So just a lot of what I've been thinking about is I think paying attention to the breath is really what like helps you slow down. And sort of, I think I know personally, I have a really, really horrible problem with like focusing on me and what I'm feeling. Like it's very easy to get caught up in doing our work or doing what we think we're supposed to be doing or going about our day and not really paying attention to how we feel and our thoughts and how our body feels and what it needs. I also kind of wanted to share too, I took a class I actually was the teaching assistant for a class on Buddhism a while back. And I remember telling the professor who I was teaching with, I was like, I can't do any meditation. Like I am so bad. My mind wanders, and being told, that's okay. Like there's no judgment. Like you can always bring yourself back to that breath. And that really changed a lot of my outlook on yoga and meditation. In fact, I was like, oh, there is no, like, I have to be really good at it kind of thing.
Yeah, I love what you're saying there too, because I feel like when we have, talk in our courses and stuff, and just give that caveat of your mind doesn't have to be clear. It's just allowing your breath to be that anchor of come back to the breath, come back to the breath, come back to the breath. And it allows the variation and the vacillation of the mind and everything else to be there. But then how can we just come back to our breath and come back to ourselves while noticing? I mean, I think that's such part of the process, is that we're noticing what else is going on, but we're able to anchor and kind of stabilize using the breath, which is really beautiful, because I feel like often we're looking for outward things to kind of grasp onto to be our anchor point, and knowing that we carry that within ourselves at all times is huge. And knowing that we can use it whether we're feeling kind of untethered and like we're kind of all over the place, or if we can use it when we are sitting still and just to kind of drop in and just to bring some quiet and stillness is a really beautiful practice. Does anyone have anything that pops into mind when it comes to the breath for them and how they've used it?
I'll share. When I had COVID, so COVID attacks the lungs, and my lungs weren't healthy at all at that point. And I connected to the breath and to the pranayama practices that I have been teaching. I teach chair yoga for seniors. And at that moment when I felt desperate that I couldn't breathe, I remembered the breathing exercises and I said to myself, I have yoga, I have pranayama, I have breathing. This is why I've been practicing all these years. It was preparing me for this moment. And I connected with my breath, and that helped me so much, not hyperventilating and staying relaxed and know that I was going to come out of it just by breathing and relaxing my thoughts. At that time, there wasn't a lot of information regarding breathing and COVID. So I kind of figured it out in that moment. So it was a really nice experience to know that I had my breath. And that's all I needed was to breathe. And my thoughts, just to relax my thoughts. And it was an amazing experience.
Oh, I love that. I feel like that really allows you to come back and have a sense of agency again, right? When something may not be going right in the body and there's that struggle. I know that I worked with a client who had COPD, so struggling with breathing and the lungs, and same type of experience. It was like he would get really out of breath and then make him feel kind of anxious, right? Because he couldn't catch his breath. But when we would work with it in the practice, then he would see that he could get to that point where he would feel tightness in his chest, but then it's like, okay, just now hold here and just breathe and let there be a softening and let yourself relax. And that's what's really, I think, beautiful with the yoga practice, and kind of combined with that, and allowing you to have that sense of calm come back into the body just by using your own breath. It's so powerful. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else have anything they'd like to share?
I'm just thinking back to like years ago and diagnosis of eating disorder. It didn't feel like anything had a power to infiltrate me. Do you know what I mean? So if someone had suggested, oh, let's breathe, I'd be like, yeah, right. And I just, yeah. And when you talk about the power of it, it really is present the more and the more and the more that you allow yourself just to enter into the experience of it. So rather than oh, this has to do this, or this is supposed to do this, just this ability to open to the experience of the simplicity of the breath and how that does have so much power. But I was just struck by this, I don't know, 13-year-old mentality of myself when I would be like, yeah, right. Like, yeah.
And I think it speaks to too, like you're saying, open to the experience, but also it's like, exactly, it's like open to it's an opening of communication. And that's what kept coming to mind as I was thinking about it over the weekend of, in our eating disorders, we're so shut down when it comes to communication and letting the communication come through, right? Whether it's hunger and fullness cues, or, it's the chaos of our thoughts that are happening, that it gets so busy and loud and painful that we tend to mute the body down. And I feel like the breath really allows there to be a start of a conversation, and it allows it to be I feel like the mind body can be pretty chaotic at times, and that can take time to kind of get into. But you, when you're working with the breath and just noticing does it feel tight, or where in my body am I feeling the breath? It's a pretty neutral topic. So like you're saying, when in the beginning it can feel like, oh, this isn't going to work for me, or I don't want to do this. It's pretty neutral. Like, is it in my chest? Is it, is it feel tight in my throat? Is it hard to bring a big breath in or not? There's no judgment around any of it. It's just simply a noticing. And then the more you work with it, and of course, some of us know, it's like the more you work with the breath, the more ease that comes into your body. So it's just by noticing, we start, to allow our bodies to relax a little bit. The shoulders start to drop down a little bit. That focus goes inward instead of the outward focus that often can feel overwhelming, and allows us to just come back into ourselves again. It gets noisy.
So like, Hannah, when you were mentioning about how like I wouldn't have believed it, and I think that's such an important thing, that our thoughts are happening typically like in history, what happened yesterday or just happened, and or replaying, but also in the future, it's like what's going to happen. But my breath is the only thing that can only happen now. Like my breath can't happen yesterday, it can't happen tomorrow, it can only happen right now. And I think from recovery from PTSD, especially in trauma, that was so important, that when I connected with that, it grounded me into I'm right here. I'm not in that moment that was happening, or in the moment I perceive as happening or could be happening. I had to kind of come back to this moment. So as simple as it is, that we don't have to earn it, and it just happens for us. We don't have to do anything to have a breath. Like that, it's such a powerful tool that it seems like such a, oh yeah, I'll just breathe through my eating disorder, I'll just breathe through PTSD. But in fact, it's actually, yes, that's exactly what I'm doing as I'm going through these experiences, is breathing. So it's such a grounding, simple thing. Such an important part of being able to, when nothing else seems to be okay, like just being able to come to breath and just breathe through what we're experiencing. It's such a beautiful pause of whatever else our mind or monkey mind or things are happening.
I can totally relate to the idea like that suspicion, like, is this going to work? And I think for me, big thing is having to change my idea of what it works means. I think especially in my eating disorder recovery, I always had this thing where like recovery meant total perfection and I don't need any help from anybody and I'm super happy all the time. And I think same thing with breathing, right? It's something that might help us feel better in the moment. It doesn't mean that everything is going to be perfect all the time. It doesn't mean that we don't still struggle, and it doesn't mean that we don't need other things too. It doesn't mean that we still don't need our therapist or dietitian or support of friends and family or even medication, but just that it is a tool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, on the back of this, I find it fascinating that it was years later in recovery where I learned that I had been still trying to make myself smaller. So that exploration of the breath, of feeling that as I expanded, there was depth and spaciousness and beauty to actually allowing the body to move the breath rather than being penned in by clothing, by trying to be compact or smaller. So that for me was quite eye-opening, and just the freedom that it literally gave me to be within my body. That was magical. A journey.
Yeah, there's so much when it comes to restriction, constriction of whether it's body, food, thoughts, you know, all of that, trying to control. And it's such a, all of it feels so gripping, you know, this tight grip on everything. And just like you said, it just challenges that of like, wow, what would it feel like to allow space and to even take up more space, you know, and play with, you know, greater amounts of space, holding that. What does that feel like? And then releasing and letting that go and just allowing there to be a spectrum of sensation versus us holding so tightly into this one, like Kate was saying, this perfect, like it needs to look like this specific thing. How can we allow ourselves to kind of play on the field of all these different experiences, and then also feeling like we can trust that we can be in these different places and bring ourselves back if it gets uncomfortable. And I think that's what, you know, a lot of this is like Kate was saying, having all these different tools. It's not that we're going to have this one concrete experience throughout our entire life, but how do we build tools in our lives that we feel like are practical, that we can use in any moment, that can help us navigate the world versus, you know, creating this really concrete version, very static version of things as we unrealistically try to control it all. Yeah. Anyone have any challenges with the breath? I noticed some, you know, challenges being mentioned with breath or meditation, that either kind of thoughts as you're coming into it or experiences that you've had that have been a challenge. Feel free to type in the chat too if you don't feel comfortable speaking.
Hi, I'll share. I feel like I'm in the spot because everybody's so quiet.
Thank you.
So I started having panic attacks. And before having the panic attacks, I noticed that I wouldn't breathe deeply. So it was like I was holding my breath on my throat. I was doing the bare minimum that my body was doing naturally.
Mhm.
And I was a single mom. I was going to college, working. I was having a lot of health issues. So I was always being too productive, to the point that I was sleeping like 2 hours. Like I didn't know that sleep was important. I didn't know that eating healthy meals was important. To me, taking care of my family and what I needed to do was more important than taking care of my body. I never knew that I had to feed my body and sleep and rest and breathe. So I started noticing that my chest would be like so stiff and a lot of inflammation. And years of that, then I started having the panic attacks. And I was referred to see a psychotherapist that gave me hypnotherapy sessions. And the hypnotherapy sessions were basically meditation. It was meditation sessions where I had to hold a pen, and with that pen, he could measure in the computer my breathing. And from there, it just led me to where I'm at now, exploring breathing exercises and yoga and meditation. But I came to meditation after suffering many years.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it can be, I think we often think it needs to be these huge shifts or things like that, but I think it is really powerful when we realize it's these subtle shifts that we can make, these subtle awarenesses, you know, just creating space for the awareness to reside. Not that we have to do amazing like gymnastics through this whole thing, you know, that it doesn't have to be the hour yoga practice in the studio. It doesn't have to be these certain ways that we think in our mind that it needs to look. But how can we just start to incorporate things in that are nourishing to us, and that allow us to nurture ourselves and to build that awareness, like you were saying, like noticing the discomfort that's coming up, and then allowing yourself to sit with it, and to move through it. And sometimes the sitting with it is really uncomfortable, but in that, I often think of the breath too as kind of like this internal massage, and whether we're thinking of it in a physical space, but also in that emotional, if we're working with something that's challenging emotionally, like how can we massage that instead of it feeling so prickly and sharp edges and hard, and like you were saying, like noticing it's stuck here in my chest or in my throat and hard to breathe. Like how can we allow the breath to kind of, you know, soften, or even just like, you know, someone else that just creates space around it, just to notice and hold here, like, okay, it's here and I notice and I'm still here and I'm still holding and it's okay. And so taking that time until you can kind of process through a little bit. It's really beautiful. Well, thank you guys for sharing. That kind of leads us into this beautiful segue of allowing us to just really work with it. Because I know that we can talk about lots of things, we can read a million books about things, but where the kind of rubber meets the road is when we actually get into practice and actually experience it into our bodies and allow ourselves the chance for there to be that holding, that awareness, that nurturing. So I want to invite you all into practicing today with me for the next 30 minutes. As we move into this, just knowing that it is an invitation, it is knowing that everybody's bodies here are different, and that if there's anything that comes up that is uncomfortable in your body, please listen to your body. Opt out, wait for the next posture to come in. We're going to do a nice gentle seated practice today. And so I just invite you guys just to take and make this your own as we move through today. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to take a minute to just move back a little bit so you guys can see me a little bit better. All right. Let's just take a moment here. I just want to make sure that camera wise with me switching, you guys can kind of see me. All right. Chair. So let's just take a moment to, just like we did in the beginning today in our session, to take a moment to let the soles of the feet ground into the earth. So maybe coming to the edge of the chair. And just taking a moment here to maybe lift the toes, spread the toes out nice and wide, and then pinky toe, just gently start planting down onto the earth there. And if it feels comfortable for you, I'll invite you to go ahead and close the eyes. Since we were saying that breath allows you to come to the self, if you like, you can close the eyes and allow the focus to come inward. Maybe resting the hands wherever they're comfortable, seeing if you can let the shoulders just move away from the ears a little bit, maybe shake the head no gently. Just noticing. Taking a moment just to notice the quality of the breath right now. That gentle rise and fall. So just noticing the breath as it comes through the body. There might be a slight coolness of the breath as you draw in the nose, and a subtle warmth as you exhale. So without trying to control the breath, just noticing that gentle rise and fall. creating a little space between the teeth so there's no tension whatsoever in the jaw. And then from here, take a moment to bring the palms together and start rubbing the palms together. So creating a little bit of friction here, a little bit of warmth. And again, you can let the eyes stay closed if that feels comfortable, and then go ahead and place the palms on the eyes. So maybe there's a sense of warmth or coolness of the fingers. Maybe taking a moment to notice the change in the experience by just letting any light in, taking that away from your experience right now, noticing if that changes sensation in the eyes and the face. Taking a nice breath in here through the nose, nice big breath. Exhale out when you're ready. One more big breath, big inhale. As you exhale, again, you can keep the eyes closed for this if you want to. I want you to just cross the arms and then place the hands on the shoulders. So almost creating a little bit of a gentle weight, kind of pulling the shoulders down and away. So shaking the head gently, no. Once again, we're just noticing the body and the breath. Let the head come back to neutral, nice inhale. And then exhale, go ahead and let the hands, one stacked on top of the other, come to heart center. And then once again, just simply notice, letting the weight of the palms just kind of gently rest here on the chest. Noticing that gentle rise on the inhale, and that soft release on the exhale. As we're inviting this conversation of the breath in, just starting to notice as our mind is kind of quieting a little bit, there might be little thoughts running around in there, but allowing the awareness come to the breath, but also start to bringing in that conversation of sensation. So noticing, is there any tightness in the chest? Noticing maybe any warmth from the palm of the hand on the chest. Or maybe that sensation of just weight of the palms being there. Gently let the eyes flutter open. So letting a little bit of the outer awareness come in, but soft focus, staying connected. So here, just allowing ourselves to maybe invite the breath in a little bit deeper for the next 3 breaths. So inhale, let the chest rise a little bit higher. Soft exhale. 2 more breaths, just at your own pace. Last one. Now gently on the next exhale, go ahead and bring the hands to the ribs. So however it feels comfortable, you can kind of just kind of cross the hands here and place them here, or you can have them out, whatever feels better in the body. And here, just focusing now as we breathe in, we're just allowing the breath to drop a little bit lower, that awareness to drop a little bit lower, and that expansion, inviting a little bit more spaciousness in the body as we notice and feel the ribs kind of expand on that breath, creating that spaciousness. So big inhale here. Noticing maybe a gentle rise of the chest, but maybe experiencing or sensing that expansion of the ribs as we invite that breath in. And nice big inhale. Last one. Beautiful. And then on the next 3 breaths, allowing the hands, maybe one above the belly button and one below. And really letting the belly soften on that inhale, soften and round. So inhale, bring the breath in. Letting go of any tension or constriction in the belly. Exhale, let it out. 2 more breaths. Last one. Biggest breath you've taken all day. Beautiful. All right, let's go ahead and get into a little bit of movement here. So go ahead and take the hands, just rest them on top of the thighs or the knees, and allow the head to just drop over gently to the right hand side. From here, we're going to inhale, and then as we exhale, tuck the chin, and almost like you're just drawing a little smiley face on your chest, and drawing through, and then letting the head release onto now the left side. Again, dropping it down. Exhale, and then inhale over. Just keep moving with the breath, staying connected to your own rhythm, your own rate of breath. And as we start to move the body, like we were speaking about before, is like really inviting this conversation in. So we have the breath, we're staying connected, but it's also bringing in the movement and noticing any sensation that's coming in. And roll the head over to one side. Maybe here on my right side. So I'm going to rest my head over the ear towards the right shoulder. Take a moment to let the shoulders down and away. And then taking the opposite hand, let it reach out to the side of the left hip here. And you can slowly start walking those fingertips out until there's sensation. You might feel it in the neck, maybe a little bit in the arm. And once there's just gentle sensation, go ahead and invite the breath in again. Gentle rise and fall. Walk the fingers back in on an exhale. Roll the head on over to the opposite side. So left ear to the left shoulder. Shoulders kind of roll back and down. And then take a moment here. Take right fingertips and you can start walking it out. Just a little bit until you notice sensation. We're not looking for a big stretch here. We're just starting to elicit conversation with the body. And as we invite that breath in, like we were talking before, also just noticing what bringing in the breath does to the sensation. How does it kind of navigate around sensation? Does it stay the same? The sensation change after a few breaths? Okay, go ahead and walk it in on the exhale. Bring the head to neutral here. We've been sitting a little bit, so let's go ahead and get into our spine a little bit here. As we are going to create little circles with the body, I'd like you to take a moment as well to create the movement, but then reconnect with the breath. So as we inhale, allow the body to come up where our lungs can be really expansive. So we're going to slow down the movement a little bit. And then as we exhale, we come forward. So almost thinking about like squeezing out a sponge, we're squeezing out all that air. Once the air is all out of the lungs, then we inhale and come up again. Allowing our bodies to expand, and then exhale, contract, right? See what's talking to you here. The body is not shy usually. So if there is a little bit of tightness in the back, you might notice it, or maybe it's between the shoulder blades. Notice if you want to bring the head into it. I'm noticing a little bit of movement there. So you can totally like bring the head in, keep releasing those shoulders, neck. Often we move so quickly that we don't honor what's truly going on in the body, and we just move past it, right? We say we're breathing in and out, in and out, in and out, right? Especially in those faster flow classes, if you've been in those before, and you tend to get kind of caught up in that, but you're not actually honoring what's going on. So go ahead and switch directions whenever you're ready. Again, we're building those pathways of communication. I often think of it too, when we have our partners that, we'll have a bad day and we'll want to talk with our partners. And often they'll want to have a solution and a to do and a fix it, right? We really don't want that. We just want you to listen. I feel like this is our time when I'm on the mat. It's my way of showing up for my body and just listening. Instead of feeling like I need to fix or do, I just allow it to be present. And then I nurture it again, with that gentle movement, that breath. So go ahead and come on up to seated here, just straight spine, big inhale. And exhale. All right. So again, we're either seated. I'm just going to crisscross for a minute, just to bring in a little bit of a different stretch here. All right. So we can do a seated cat-cow. And so hands just on the knees here. So creating a little bit of openness in the heart center. We'll open up here. Kind of placing the hands on the knees. You can roll the shoulders back and down, open through the heart, the throat. Let the gaze go toward the sky if you'd like to. Let's hold here for a few breaths. Once again, just noticing if there's any tightness here, or maybe it feels really easy and open here to bring in breath, to bring in movement. Take a nice big inhale, biggest you've taken all day. And then exhale, round through the shoulders. As you're exhaling, really drawing the belly button towards the spine. So you're kind of doing, again, that compression, kind of squeezing all the air out. Hold here for a few breaths. So still cycling the breath through, but allowing that arch in the back. Once again, allowing that communication, the body telling you where it might feel tension, tightness, soreness. Noticing what's speaking to you. Are your shoulders up? I just noticed mine are. So see if you can just drop those shoulders down and away from the ears. Noticing the space between the shoulder blades. Maybe noticing the low back, hips. All right, now let's go ahead and bring in a little bit breath with movement. So we'll inhale and just vacillate between the two. So taking your time. Into your nice cow, and then exhale into cat. Exactly, yes. If it feels better on the floor, feel free, absolutely. You guys know the traditional, you can just be on hands and knees. Do one more breath here. Nice. All right. So if you're on hands and knees, I invite you to just come back to seated. If you're on a chair, you can just come just general seated position. But if you're not, you can come onto your bum, but then bring the knees up like this. We're going to come into a seated gentle twist. Okay, so we'll come in here to the edge. And then big inhale. Go ahead and let the fingertips rise. Feel the extension through the fingertips. And exhale, releasing over to the right hand side. And then releasing the hands on down just to support. So naturally in this pose, it brings a sense of constriction in the torso, and it makes it a little bit harder to bring in the inhale, right? So this is a beautiful place to really explore of allowing the breath, the out breath, to be a little bit longer than the in breath. It also kind of enunciates that feeling of fullness in the lungs as you bring the breath in, then you start to feel the resistance because of the twist in the torso here. And notice your end point and then nice long exhale. One more breath, big inhale. Hold here at the top just for 1, 2, 3, and then exhale. Go ahead and unravel, untwist. Okay, just come in on the opposite side. So inhale, fingertips up high, reaching through the fingertips. Big breath in. And then exhale, twist to the left. And let the hands rest, support. So nice soft gaze, just let the face, the eyes, the jaw be nice and soft. Once again, just noticing that place where you get that sense of kind of constriction as you're at the end of the in-breath, that fullness of the lungs. And then really focus on that nice long exhale, almost like you're blowing through a straw. Even kind of bring counting into it, if it helps to kind of focus, noticing maybe there's a inhale of 4 and exhale of 5 or 6. Go ahead and inhale here. Hold at the top. 3, 2, 1, and exhale. And bring those hands up again. So reaching through the fingertips, long through the spine. Then exhale, release the right hand down. Exhale out here to the right. Noticing here for a moment. Just shifting. Often when we release over to the side, all the weight shifts over to the right. So see if we can just ground that left hip back to the mat or to your seat. And maybe even shift, if you're sitting in a chair, even shifting that weight into the sole of the foot. The top of the shin. Your arm. And finding that breath again. Nice inhale. Exhaling, releasing. Noticing where you can find some spaciousness. Is there a little bit of constriction or tightness in that shoulder? See if you can bring a little bit of movement to create ease, or maybe bending the elbow to create space between the ear and the shoulder. Shake that head now. letting this be that nice fluid process, right? We don't have to get into a pose and then stick and hold, right? We can assess, we can move, we can respond. Just like a conversation, it's a two-way conversation. Let's go ahead and inhale from up. And then exhale into the other side. Once again, just checking in. So we're allowing just sensation to start and then hold when sensation starts here, maybe in that right side of the body. And then also check in, have we kind of dumped all the weight over here on the left? So send a little bit back into that right hip to ground both hips down. And then noticing sensation on that right hand side. Maybe noticing where it is. Maybe there's more sensation maybe in the shoulder or maybe in the torso or the low back. Right? So just notice for you where the body's talking. And then see where you can give it a little bit of a break. So dropping the shoulder a little bit, shaking the head, maybe coming out of it so it's not so intense. So that way the breath can come back in. Right, let's go ahead and take a moment here to ground back in, hand on heart. Take a moment once again to close the eyes. As we come back to our center. Nice breath. Exhale out. Again, let those shoulders become heavy. Feeling that gentle pressure of the hands on the heart. Holding such gratitude for all of you showing up today so fully. Creating space and time for this beautiful conversation between the body, the breath, the mind, and one another. Thank you. Let's go ahead and take a nice breath, open the eyes, and just come back to one another. So I'm just going to shift forward here. I'm in a nice small space, so I don't have to go very far. Wonderful. All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the practice today. Time got away from me. I looked at the time and oh my goodness, here we are. So I don't know if you guys got lost too, but thank you so much for spending this today with us, you know, with Kate and I, and having this conversation of taking the time to just be with our bodies, be with our breath, and explore these different things. Like Kate was talking, you know, it might not be that this is, you know, your favorite tool that you use in your toolbox, but knowing that you have different ones there, it's fun to just try and see what works. And then through different times, you know, maybe today it didn't work that great because there's like a lot going on in your body or your mind, but there might be another quieter time that it feels better to bring it in. So don't give up on it and just try different things at different times. And once again, just allowing it to be kind of playful and exploring as we find different things that work in our recovery. So Kate, do you want to take a moment to share with follow-up things?
Yeah, sure. No, just thank you all so much for coming, and please do continue to spread the word. We're going to be having more of these. So.
Absolutely. And just want to take a moment. I know we're right at time, so I want to honor your time, but I know that Kate has lots of resources at ANAD for support, like she was saying. So if you go to the website, it's ANAD, is it anad.org?
Yeah, okay. No,
you know better.
I can
and then what's on?
I could put up a link in the chat. If you'd like.
Thanks.
Just gonna pull that up. Yeah, so I'll put.
Yeah. So ANAD has lots of free resources, and then for Eat, Breathe, Thrive, we are eatbreathethrive.org as well. So both of us, it's anad.org and eatbreathethrive.org. And so just so you guys know that there's lots of ways to stay connected, whether you need private support or you need community support. And everybody will get the links in the post email, so that all that information will be there. There's the campfire chats that we have with Eat, Breathe, Thrive, which just doesn't include the yoga portion of things. That has a little menu and an hour of community connection, which is also free and wonderful. Also, when it comes to the yoga practice, we do have on our website, if you look at our facilitators, there's a little red bird and it says yoga on it. And if that facilitator has that little red bird on there, it just means that they provide yoga that is recovery friendly, and you're welcome to join their classes. So you can click on their link and get their information of classes that they offer, usually online or in their communities. So just once again, thank you all so much for spending your time with us today, and look forward to seeing you at other adventures. All right, take care.